Today, we're going to be learning how to solve absolute value equations and inequalities. First of all, absolute value is defined as the non-negative value of x without regards to its sign. Geometrically, this means a number's distance from zero. Solving absolute value equations and inequalities is much like solving a regular equation, except that once you narrow it down to the absolute value quantity, you must split the equation into two parts since the value within the absolute value brackets could be negative or positive. Let's look at the first problem. Here we have the absolute value of x plus 4 equals 4. Now to solve this problem, we're going to split it up into two separate equations which we will solve independently of each other. This will give us both of our answers for the equation. On the first side, we're going to have x plus 4 equals 4. To solve this side, you'll have to subtract 4 from both sides to get x equals 0. We're done for this side. X equals 0 is your final answer. Now for the other side. On the other side, you'll have negative outside your quantity, x plus 4. So you'll have negative x plus 4 equals 4. Then you can distribute your negative 1 to both terms within the quantity, so you'll have negative x minus 4 equals 4. Then you can add 4 to both sides, so you'll have negative x equals 8. Finally, you'll divide by negative 1 to get your final answer, x equals negative 8. Therefore, your answers for this problem are x equals 0 and x equals negative 8. Now the same rules we used in the previous problem to solve the absolute value equation can also be used to solve an absolute value inequality, such as the one reproduced below. The absolute value of 4x minus 5 is greater than 2. Now just like the one before, we're going to split it up into two separate inequalities that we will solve independently of each other. That will give us the two answers for the problems, or the interval for the problem. So on the first side, we'll have 4x minus 5 is greater than 2. Now first, you can add 5 to get 4x is greater than 7. Then you can divide by 4 to get your answer, x is greater than 7/4. On the other side, you'll have to have the negative outside your quantity, 4x minus 5. So you have negative quantity 4x minus 5 is greater than 2. Then you can distribute your negative 1 to each of the terms within the quantity, so you have negative 4x plus 5 is greater than 2. Then you can subtract your 5, so you'll have negative 4x is greater than negative 3. And finally, you'll divide by negative 4 to get your answer, x is less than 3/4. Now, you may also see slightly more complicated problems that will have constants and or other factors outside the absolute value brackets, such as in this problem below. 6 times the absolute value of 2x minus 3 is greater than 3. Now for this one, we're going to do the same thing we've done in previous problems. We're going to set it up into the two separate inequalities that will solve independently of each other and get our answers from there. On the first side, you're going to have 6 times the quantity of 2x minus 3 is greater than 3. So first, we're going to divide both sides by 6. So you'll have 2x minus 3 is greater than 1/2. Then you can add 3 to both sides to get 2x is greater than 7/2. The final step of this inequality is dividing both sides by 2. Since 7/2 divided by 2 is the same thing as multiplying 7/2 times 1/2, your final answer should be x is greater than 7/4. Now for the other inequality, or the other situation to this problem. You'll have negative 1 times 6 times quantity 2x minus 3 is greater than 3. Now, first you can divide both sides by negative 6 to get 2x minus 3 is less than negative 1/2. Then you can add 3 to both sides to get 2x is less than 5/2. Finally, you can divide by 2 to get x is less than 5/4. What we've been doing so far has been to prepare you for the technology-enhanced questions that will be on your end-of-year SOL test. Questions that will require you to type in the answers yourself or to match a correct answer or answers to a corresponding equation/inequality. However, most of the problems on your SOL will be multiple choice, so let's not leave those out. Here we have the problem, the absolute value of 4x minus 8 is less than 2. Though it is multiple choice, first we're going to show you how to solve it normally. Then we'll show you how to figure out the answer by slashing the trash and testing different options within the multiple choice. Since this is a less than absolute value inequality, you're going to write it as negative 2 is less than 4x minus 8 is less than 2. Now, in order to solve it, you basically just solve it as you have the other ones, except you do everything to all three sides of the equation. Not 1, not 2, but 3. First, you're going to add 8 to all three sides of the equations, producing the result 6 is less than 4x is less than 10. Now you're going to divide all sides by 4 to get your answers. 3 halves is less than x is less than 5 halves. This is your answer, and this is A, the correct answer. Now we'll show you how to use the multiple choice to your advantage. First, you can slash the trash. Eliminate any answer choices that you know can't be right. B can be crossed off immediately since 3 halves is definitely not greater than 5 halves. The other 3 answer choices could be right, so we'll see which is the correct choice by testing x values within each answer choice's solution intervals. First, we'll test an x value for answer choice A. Let's test an x value like 2. It's the easiest number to test between 3 halves and 5 halves. When you plug 2 into the absolute value inequality, you should get the absolute value of 2 times 4 minus 8 is less than 2. Then you can simplify this by saying the absolute value of 8 minus 8 is less than 2. Now 8 minus 8 is 0, so you should have the absolute value of 0 is less than 2. The absolute value of 0 is 0, so you should have 0 is less than 2, which is correct. Therefore, answer choice A is the correct answer. So you see, solving absolute value equations and inequalities isn't all that hard so long as you isolate it first and keep in mind all the other rules that you've learned in Algebra 1 and Algebra 2 trig. Thank you for watching this video.